Let's get weird into it. Number 10. The slow motion punch. You've been there. You're in a dream, facing down a villain made of sentient oatmeal or maybe just your old high school gym teacher, and the time for heroic action has come. You rear back to throw the most satisfying punch in human history. It's going to be glorious. But as your fist moves forward, it feels like you're pushing it through a swimming pool full of cold honey. Your muscles scream, your brain is yelling, "Faster, you fool." But your arm drifts forward with the urgency of a tectonic plate. The oatmeal monster just kind of jiggles, unimpressed. This isn't your subconscious telling you that you're a weakling who can't even defeat a breakfast food. This is a direct report from the front lines of your own nervous system. When you enter REM sleep, the stage where most vivid dreams happen, your brainstem sends out a signal that basically paralyzes your entire body. This helpful feature is called REMatonia, and it's the only thing stopping you from physically leaping out of bed to fight that oatmeal monster in your pajamas, which would be confusing for you and terrifying for your cat. So, while your brain's motor cortex is firing off the punch him command with gusto, the signal dies at the brainstem. Your body is completely unresponsive. Your dreaming mind, ever the brilliant interpreter, experiences this disconnect not as paralysis, but as a frustrating, physics-defying inability to move effectively. It's a perfect, literal translation of what's happening to your physical form. Your subconscious isn't trying to make you a failure. It's just accurately reporting that your body has been temporarily turned into a very relaxed, unhelpful sack of potatoes. Number 9. Your teeth are now gravel. It's one of the classics, a true Hall of Famer in the nightmare department. You're giving a speech, or maybe just ordering a coffee, and you feel a strange, gritty sensation in your mouth. You run your tongue over your teeth, and one of them wobbles. Then another. Then they all cascade out of your head like a broken gumball machine. You're left with a handful of bloody chiclets and the horrifying realization that you now have the mouth of a sea turtle, contrary to what ancient dream dictionaries might tell you. This isn't a prophecy that you're about to lose all your money, or that a distant relative is going to kick the bucket. This dream is almost always a raw, unfiltered broadcast from your anxiety center. Your teeth are symbols of power, control, and communication. Losing them in a dream is your brain's ham-fisted way of showing you how out of control you feel in your waking life. Worried about a presentation at work? Your brain translates that as, "What if I can't speak properly?" and then escalates it to, "Let's just remove the entire speaking apparatus." There's also a physical component. People who are stressed often grind their teeth at night, a condition called bruxism. Your brain can pick up on these physical sensations from your jaw and weave them into the dream narrative. It feels the pressure and tension and creates a story to match. Your teeth are under attack. So the next time your dream self is spitting out molars, don't call a psychic. Maybe just take a day off. It's your mind's way of screaming, "We are not coping," using your mouth as its very own crumbling billboard. Number 8. The Gibberish Library. Try to read a book in a dream. Go on, I'll wait. You'll find an ancient tome. Open it. See a perfectly normal sentence and then blink. Suddenly, the words have rearranged themselves into Klingon IKEA instructions. Look at a digital clock. It'll say 4:47 p.m. Look away and look back, and now it's cheese o'clock. Trying to use your phone is even worse. The apps writhe, the numbers swim, and you can never seem to dial the right person. This isn't a sign that you're secretly dyslexic. It's because the parts of your brain responsible for processing language and logic are mostly offline during REM sleep. Specifically, your prefrontal cortex, the brain's adult in the room, the part that handles rational thought, planning, and linear sense, has clocked out for the night. Reading requires your brain to recognize stable symbols and string them together into coherent meaning. But your dreaming brain is a chaotic artist, not a librarian. It's throwing random images and concepts together, and it can't be bothered to hold a sentence still for more than a fraction of a second. The visual cortex is still active, which is why you can see the text. But the language centers, like Broca's area and Wernicke's area, are dozing. Your brain is trying to load the reading software on a computer that has its main processor turned off. It can pull up the icon, but clicking on it just produces a glitchy, psychedelic mess. So no, you're not illiterate in your dreams. Your brain is just running on low-power mode, and logical consistency is the first thing to get unplugged. Number 7. The cast of random strangers. Ever notice that the people in your dreams are often complete strangers? You'll be in a high-stakes spy thriller with a team of operatives you've never seen before, yet you trust them with your life. Or you'll be at a family dinner, and sitting next to your mom is some random guy with a magnificent mustache, who your dream brain accepts as Uncle Bartholomew, even though you have no such uncle. Here's the disturbing part. Your brain cannot invent new faces. It's not a 3D character generator. Every single face you see in a dream, from the main character to the blurry person in the background, is a face you have seen before. That creepy guy at the bus stop last Tuesday? The cashier from the grocery store you visited on vacation 3 years ago? The extras in a movie you half-watched. Their faces are all filed away in the vast, dusty archive of your memory. During your dreams, your brain becomes a frantic casting director, pulling random headshots from its files and assigning them roles. It doesn't care if they fit. It just needs a face to fill the slot. This is why dream faces can also be bizarre composites. Your best friend's eyes on your dad's head with your dentist's nose. It's your brain's version of a Photoshop collage made by a hyperactive toddler. So the next time you dream about a terrifying figure chasing you, take comfort in the fact that it's probably just the face of the guy who delivered your pizza once, now repurposed for a starring role in your personal horror film. Number 6. The instantaneous scenery change. You're in your childhood home, looking for a misplaced set of keys. You open the pantry door, but instead of finding shelves of canned soup, you step directly onto the surface of Mars. You turn around and your house is gone, replaced by a Roman Colosseum filled with cheering penguins. You don't question it. It feels completely normal. This cinematic jump cut is the default editing style of your dreaming brain. Once again, blame your snoozing prefrontal cortex. In waking life, the PFC is the continuity supervisor. It ensures that scene A logically connects to scene B. It reminds you that opening a pantry door does not typically lead to interplanetary travel. But in a dream, the PFC is on a coffee break, and the inmates are running the asylum. The part of your brain in charge is the limbic system, the emotional primal core that includes the amygdala and hippocampus. This system operates on emotional and thematic connections, not linear logic. The feeling of searching for your keys in the house might trigger a distant, unrelated memory of feeling lost while watching a documentary about space. Bing! Your hippocampus serves up a memory of Mars. The feeling of being watched or judged might then trigger an association with a history lesson on gladiators. BAM Colosseum. The penguins? The amygdala probably just thought they'd be funny. Your dream isn't a story. It's an emotional and associative free-for-all, stitched together by a director who thinks continuity is a boring suggestion. Number 5. The public nudity fiasco. It's a presentation, a final exam, or maybe just a regular Tuesday at the office. Everything is going fine until you look down and realize you are completely, irrevocably, and profoundly naked. A wave of shame and panic washes over you as everyone in the room turns to stare. You try to cover yourself with a conveniently placed manila folder, but it's no use. You are exposed. This is not a suppressed desire to become a nudist. This dream is the universal symbol for vulnerability. Clothing, in our society, is armor. It's a presentation of the self we want the world to see. Professional, casual, stylish, whatever. To be naked is to be without that armor. To have all your flaws and insecurities laid bare for public judgment. The dream is a direct metaphor for a situation in your waking life where you feel exposed, unprepared, or fraudulent. Are you starting a new job where you feel like an imposter? Are you in a new relationship where you're afraid of being emotionally vulnerable? Your brain takes that abstract feeling of, I hope they don't see the real me, and makes it brutally literal. It strips away your defenses, your suit, your uniform, your casual Friday jeans, and puts you on stage. The horror you feel isn't about the nudity itself. It's the raw, distilled terror of being judged. It's your subconscious grabbing you by the shoulders and yelling, "You feel like a fraud," and here's a visual aid to demonstrate precisely how much. Number 4. The nonsense solution. Sometimes you go to bed with a difficult problem on your mind. You wake up the next morning with a feeling of brilliant clarity. I've solved it, you think. The answer came to you in a dream. The complex coding bug, the tricky plot point in your novel, the perfect response to that argument you had 3 days ago. It's all clear now. The solution, your dream told you, is to replace the motherboard with cheese and recite the alphabet backward. Oh, while you're asleep, your brain is fantastic at making connections. It's in a state of hyperassociation, linking ideas and memories that would never interact during the logical daylight hours. This is why some genuine creative breakthroughs have happened in dreams. The structure of the benzene ring, for example. Your brain can see patterns without the rigid constraints of logic. But for every one stroke of genius, there are 1,000 instances of pure, unadulterated gibberish. Your dreaming mind doesn't have a quality control department. It will proudly connect the concept of computer science with the memory of a sandwich you ate last week and present the result as a profound insight. The feeling of euphoria and certainty, the eureka moment, is very real. The solution itself, however, is usually the product of a mind that has temporarily lost its ability to distinguish between a good idea and a suggestion that sounds like it was made by a bowl of alphabet soup. It's like brainstorming with a brilliant but completely unhinged business partner. Number 3. The false awakening loop. You wake up in your bed. The alarm is buzzing. You slam it off, swing your legs over the side of the bed, and start your morning routine. You brush your teeth, get dressed, and head to the kitchen to make coffee. As you pour the milk, you notice that it's dark green and full of spiders. And then you wake up. For real this time. You're back in your bed. The alarm is buzzing. This is a false awakening, a particularly cruel trick your brain plays as it hovers on the edge of consciousness. It's a dream about waking up. Sometimes it happens just once, but other times you can get stuck in a loop, waking up over and over again, with each reality becoming slightly more bizarre until you start to genuinely question which one is real. It's like the movie Inception as directed by a prankster god. This likely happens when there's a partial arousal glitch as you're transitioning out of REM sleep. Part of your brain is becoming aware of your surroundings, the bed, the alarm clock. But the dream-generating part hasn't fully shut down yet, so it does what it does best. It creates a story. It builds a perfect replica of your bedroom and your morning routine inside the dream itself. The small, weird details, like the spider milk, are your brain's way of leaving little clues that you're not actually awake. It's a reality simulation with a few bugs in the code, a final disorienting encore before the show is really over. Number 2. The impossible architecture. Think about the places in your dreams. They are often nonsensical mashups of real-world locations. You're in a version of your office, but it's also a cruise ship. You walk down a hallway in your school that leads directly into the forest behind your grandma's house. Doors open into walls, stairs lead nowhere, and rooms change size and shape as soon as you turn your back. This is your hippocampus having a field day. The hippocampus is crucial for spatial memory and navigation. It holds the mental maps of places you've been. When you dream, your brain isn't building these locations from scratch. It's rummaging through its existing blueprints and sticking them together like a deranged architect with an unlimited budget and a deep hatred for physics. It's pulling the file for office, the file for cruise ship, and the file for anxious feeling of being trapped, and merging them into one glorious, illogical location. The reason you don't question it in the moment is, once again, the absence of your prefrontal cortex. There's no internal logic checker to say, hold on, the break room shouldn't have a shuffleboard court and a view of the ocean. Your emotional brain is in charge, and it builds environments based on feeling, not function. The layout of a dream space is a map of your emotions. A confusing labyrinthine house represents a feeling of being lost in your life. A building with endless shifting corridors reflects anxiety about an uncertain future. It's not bad design, it's emotional architecture. Number 1. The feeling of utter certainty. Perhaps the most disturbing logic of all is the one that underpins every other weird thing on this list. The absolute, unshakable conviction that what is happening is real. You don't question the fact that you can fly by flapping your arms, or that your cat is giving you sage financial advice, or that you're late for a final exam for a class you haven't taken in 15 years. In the dream, it is all completely, utterly normal. This is the ultimate magic trick of the dreaming brain. Your sense of self and your model of reality are temporarily hijacked. Without the critical thinking of the prefrontal cortex, you have no baseline for what's plausible. The dream-generating parts of your brain create a world, and the conscious experiencing parts of your brain simply accept it. No questions asked. The system that is supposed to be fact-checking the input is the same system creating the fantasy. It's a feedback loop of pure delusion. This is why dreams can feel so profound and emotionally resonant. You are living through these bizarre scenarios with the full emotional weight of reality. The fear is real fear. The joy is real joy. The embarrassment of being naked in front of your coworkers is real embarrassment. Your brain isn't just showing you a movie. It's making you the star and convincing you it's a documentary. It's a nightly reminder that your perception of reality is far more fragile and constructed than you think. Your brain builds your world, and every night it practices building entirely different ones, just for fun. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.